Hello, I'm Maeve. Just so you know, this story is more than just your typical tale of a cheating husband. There is a lot more to it, which I will mention later. First, a bit about me. I come from a well-to-do family and my job keeps the bills paid nicely. I work as a successful corporate attorney at a prestigious law firm in Charleston. I was pretty content with where I was at in life, but then I crossed paths with my now ex-husband, Colton. Our story is not your typical lovey-dovey meet cute. It started in the digital world. We met online. Yeah, I know, not exactly your traditional romance, but it's how it happened. At the time, Colton was living down in Savannah, Georgia, which was about a 2-hour drive from Charleston. After 6 months of endless online chats, video calls, and whatnot, he finally made the drive to see me. It felt like a big step, moving from online chats to real-life visits. From there on, he'd made the trip over every weekend. But now that I look back, there were things I should have picked up on. For starters, he never took me to his place. Strange, right? You'd think that after all the time we spent together, he'd want to show me where he lived. But love can be a real blindfold, and I was wearing it. Within a month of us meeting face to face, he did something that should have raised some eyebrows. He popped the question. It was one of those moments you'd expect to be grand, but it was pretty low-key. Just his dad and a couple of friends were there at this restaurant. Looking back, I should have realized that maybe things were moving a little too fast, but I said yes. I was young, but I'd already scored my own house through hard work. Colton, on the other hand, was a bit of a mystery. Colton wanted to move into my place instead of me moving to Savannah. It felt like a logical step, but I couldn't help wondering about his past. Why was he so cagey about it? But I had met his dad and other friends, and they seemed like nice, genuine people. Colton had confided in me that he grew up very poor, and his mom passed away when he was young. I thought maybe he was embarrassed by his life and just wanted to start a new one here with me. I was confident we had something real, and we got married. Colton had a bag full of secrets, and I was about to open it. The picture-perfect love story I thought we had was about to get way more complicated and painful than I ever imagined. Our married life was pretty typical, I guess. I was busy working, and Colton, well, he didn't have the most glamorous job. He dropped out of college and was still figuring things out. Not a big deal, really. He started with a desk job at the local college and later landed a job as an assistant to a marketing manager at a small company. Now, I won't lie, the money he brought in wasn't exactly making us millionaires, but Colton was confident about his career path. He kept telling me that a massive promotion and bonus were just around the corner, probably a year or so down the road. I believed him, and that's what counted. At that point, the cash he brought in wasn't my top concern. We were doing fine, building our life together. I loved the idea of us growing together and working towards a bright future. It was us against the world, and nothing else really mattered. Colton would drive to Savannah every other weekend to visit his dad, but he never asked me to tag along. So I asked him why. Colton, we've been married for 2 months now. I really want to be a part of your life in Savannah. Why can't we just go together? Babe, you don't understand. The place I come from isn't like your Charleston mansion. I didn't grow up in a nice big house. I'm embarrassed about where I came from and how my family lives. You wouldn't like it there. It's different. Colton, you know that material things don't matter to me. I married you, not your house. It's not just about the house. It's about my dad. He's a different person now. After my mom passed away, he's become a recluse, living a solitary life. He doesn't even like me visiting, let alone having guests like you over. I met your dad at the proposal and the wedding, and he seemed like a kind man. I don't understand how he can be so... You don't know what he's like, Maeve. Besides, my dad, he just broke up with the woman he brought to the wedding. He prefers his solitude and he won't appreciate any visitors. I promise we'll visit Savannah someday, but not right now. Well, okay, if you say so. I stopped asking him to take me to Savannah. I could sense the discomfort it caused him, and I didn't want to push him into something he wasn't ready for. But who knew our marriage wasn't even going to last a year? Then came Colton's birthday, and along with that, his so-called office work trip. About 10 days before his birthday, Colton came home from the office and gave me some bad news. Hey, babe, there's something I need to talk to you about. What's up? It's about my upcoming work trip. I know it's not the best timing, but it's essential. It's a 2-week trip to Savannah, and I have to leave in 5 days. 2 weeks? But Colton, your birthday is just around the corner. I know, and I hate that I won't be with you for my birthday. But the office trip is crucial. I've been working hard, and there's a promotion on the line. It would look bad if I backed out now. Where will you be staying in Savannah? The office offered me accommodation. Oh, then maybe I can take some time off work and accompany you like I did earlier when we went on that San Diego trip. Let me complete it. I'm planning to stay with my dad. He's been on his own since we got married, and I want to check up on him. I've already told the office not to book a room for me. With your dad? So that means I won't be able to join you? I'm afraid so. It's your birthday, Colton. I want to be there with you. I know, babe, and it breaks my heart that I can't spend my birthday with you. But we can celebrate when I get back, just the two of us. And if I get that promotion, I promise we'll plan a fantastic trip to anywhere you want, and it's all on me. I understand, Colton. It's not about some trip, though. It's your birthday. I promise I'll make it up to you, babe. This isn't the last birthday we'll spend together. We've got a lifetime of birthdays ahead of us. All right. I'll let you go on this one, Colton, but I expect a belated birthday celebration like no other. You've got it, babe. It'll be the best birthday celebration we've ever had. I love you, Colton. I love you too, Maeve. So there I was, trying to distract myself when Colton left. I had just gotten back from work, and the house felt empty without him. It was Colton's birthday soon, and I couldn't bear the thought of him spending it alone with his dad, Richard, at their place. I didn't want to intrude or overstep any boundaries, so I had a plan to make Colton's birthday special. I'd surprise him at his dad's place, bearing gifts, balloons, and a cake. We'd then whisk away to a fancy hotel where I'd reserved a room for the night. It was my way of showing him how much I cared, and I was all in. First, the cake. I didn't hold back. It had to be something unforgettable. So I ordered a custom cake that was not only delicious but also extravagant. It cost me a pretty penny, but Colton was worth every cent. Next, I went shopping for the perfect gift. I wanted something that would remind him of my love every time he looked at it. After some browsing, I decided on a fancy watch. On the morning of Colton's birthday, I picked up my phone and dialed his number. Hey, babe, happy birthday. Thanks, babe. So, what's on your agenda today, sweetheart? Just work for me. A hectic day. There is this really important client that needs to be taken care of, but don't worry, I'll be thinking of you. What about you? That's nice, hon. I've got a day at the office, and then it's a low-key evening. Some drinks with my co-workers and a bit of Indian takeout for Dad and me. That's how we've done it since Mom passed. Just a small celebration with a pack of 4 cupcakes and some takeout. Well, babe, you enjoy your day. Love you. Love you too, and don't work too hard. I made the drive to Savannah to surprise Colton. It was a 2-hour journey, but I was determined to make this day special for him. I knew the address of where he lived because we had sent each other flowers occasionally during our online dating days. The address seemed odd to me, though. Colton had always described his home differently. I parked my car a couple of houses before the one listed in the address. The house was beautiful, nothing like the small place he had told me about. I was very much confused. Just as I was about to get out of the car, a vehicle pulled into the driveway of the house. It was Colton's car, and he was not alone. In his arms, he held a child who appeared to be around 2 or 3 years old. They were both holding balloons and seemed cheerful. The woman with him was blonde and looked exhausted, yet beautiful. She held a box that resembled a cake box. Together they walked into the house. I was shocked, frozen in disbelief. I didn't want to jump to conclusions too quickly, but I had to know what was going on. I watched from my car as they went inside the house. I felt like a stalker, but I needed answers. The windows were open, and through one of them I could see their silhouette. I couldn't believe my eyes. Colton held the woman, and they kissed. The man who was my husband, the one I was planning to surprise for his birthday, was kissing another woman. I knew I couldn't stay parked outside forever. My hands trembled as I turned the car around and drove away to the hotel that I had booked for us. That night at the hotel was a total mess. I cried my eyes out and couldn't believe what I'd seen. It felt like living in a nightmare that had no end. I had to find out the truth no matter what, so I stuffed my face with junk food and cried myself to sleep. My eyes were all puffy when I woke up, but I didn't give a damn about how I looked. I just had to go and see Colton and catch him red-handed. The next morning I drove over to his place. Colton's car was nowhere in sight, which made me even more nervous. But I'd come this far, and there was no turning back. I knocked on the door. The blonde woman opened the door, who I now know was Kim. "Hey there, how can I help you?" "Hi, I'm Maeve. Can I speak to Colton?" "Colton's not home. Who are you?" "Well, I'm his wife, Maeve." "Are you kidding me? What kind of sick joke is that?" "No, seriously, I'm his wife. It's not a joke." "There's no way. I'm Colton's girlfriend, Kim, and our baby girl, Irina, is inside. You must be mistaken." "What? You don't know?" "Wait, I can show you our wedding pictures. Just trust me this once." "Okay, come in." So I went inside, and the house looked like a proper home. There were pictures on the walls of Colton and Kim, and they looked so young. And then there were pictures of Colton, Kim, and a baby. Seeing all that, I had a lump in my throat. When I walked into the living room, there was Irina on the carpet playing. The little girl had Colton's green eyes. It was hard to take in. "So, those pictures?" "Oh, here they are." I handed my phone to Kim, and her face looked like she had seen a ghost. "What? I can't wrap my head around this. When did you two—" "We got married around 8 months ago." "This is unbelievable. But I need some answers as well. You see, Colton and I have been an item for nearly 6 years now. My little Irina is almost 3, you see?" "Wait, what? This doesn't make any sense. How did you two meet?" Now that I think about it, it strangely adds up. Colton and I connected online, and before we knew it, we were married. I'm just trying to process all this, Kim. It's quite baffling. Now I think I get what's happening here. What's going on? Colton had no job prospects back here. He spun me a tale about landing a job in Charleston and needing to relocate. I was willing to follow, but he mentioned that he needed some time to get settled. He was cohabiting with some housemates in a run-down place, and he thought it wasn't suitable for Irina. Unbelievable. So in reality, he simply met me and decided to marry me and lied to you. Honestly, I was suspicious from the get-go. Once there was a flower delivery here, and he brushed it off as a mix-up. I often overheard his phone conversations with some mystery person. Now I realize it must have been you. I apologize, Kim. I had no idea about any of this. I arrived here to surprise him on his birthday. I didn't even know he lived in such a fine home. He claimed he was staying with his dad in a small place. That's why I never bothered to come over, because he said he was embarrassed by it and I didn't want to force him. Ah, you must be referring to Richard. Mr. Richard vacated this house a long time ago. It reminded him too much of Colton's mother, but Colton decided to stay back. He invited me to move in, and I've been living here ever since then. I'm shocked. He told me he was going on a work trip, and instead he came to spend time with you. And he deceived me by saying he was working there, securing our future, saving up for an apartment together, and other false claims, while he secretly married you. I assure you he won't get away with this. How could he put us through this, especially my little Irina? So, what do we do now? I've got an idea. From what I remember, Richard was a very kind man. He owns a small place on the outskirts now. I was quite close to him when he still lived here. I doubt Colton even told him about Irina, because a gentle soul like Richard would certainly want to know his granddaughter. You're right. Richard must have mentioned something about you and Irina to me. We've only met twice, once at my proposal and the second time at my wedding. I never really got a chance to talk to him. I have a plan. Why don't you reach out to Richard to get the news on what Colton has told him, and I'll head back home. We can stay in touch, and when Colton gets home, I'm filing for a divorce. Trust me, I don't want him either. Just pretend everything is fine for another week, and then he will be gone for good. So there I was, feeling pretty down, but I had a new ally in this mess. Kim. I headed back to the house with a different kind of determination. Kim and I wanted to teach Colton a lesson, and together we were going to sort this out. It was a long drive home, and I was feeling a lot of things. Even though I was hurt, there was one thing I needed to make sure of, that Colton paid for what he did. In a couple of days, I received a call from Kim. Where's Colton? I hope he isn't eavesdropping. He's gone for a smoke. He smokes? That's new. Not as shocking as discovering that he has a girlfriend and a 3-year-old baby, huh? You've got a point there. Anyway, I talked to Richard. He had no clue about me and Irina. According to him, Colton had told him we had broken up when Richard moved out, and that was like 4 years back. Richard had no idea I had been living here at his house ever since then. Wow, so Richard left and never looked back, huh? That's right. He's a farmer now, living an isolated life. He was pretty mad when he learned about the secret his son was keeping for 4 years. He was very worried about you, too. I told you, he's a nice man. He said he'd like to give him a good talk to. And then Colton painted him out to be the bad guy, huh? Great. How about this? When Colton comes back, why don't you and Richard drive down here on the same day, and we can all confront him together? I'm all in. I'll let Richard know. Sounds like a plan. Fantastic. I'll send you the address. A whole week just crept on by. I couldn't shake that nervous feeling in my belly. My days were filled with lawyer chats, sorting out my own feelings, figuring out my next steps. It was tough, because I felt super betrayed, not just by Colton, but even by myself for not seeing the signs earlier. We had promised to share everything, and here he was, hiding a whole world from me. But I had a plan, and I was determined to make him face what was about to come. Finally, Colton came back home. I put on a fake smile and kissed him. I had to act like everything was fine, even though I was bubbling with all sorts of emotions inside. He looked tired, and I guess he needed some rest. He decided to take a nap. In a couple of hours, the doorbell rang. I asked him to go get the door while I stood right behind him. Dad and Kim, what are you doing here? Hey, Richard and Kim, come in. What's happening? Colton, you've been caught, that's what's happening. Oh, Kim, I'm going so I can make a good living. I want to provide for you and Irina soon. You can't come here. I'm living with some roommates. Your wife Maeve was your roommate, huh? You forgot to tell me about that part. I was always suspicious of you. And not just that, you were lying to me, saying you grew up poor and that Richard doesn't like people at his house, gaining sympathy from me. You talked about how you lost your mom and everything, how you don't like going back there. Colton, I can't believe this. Is this how I raised you? Do you think your mom would have been proud of you? I'm sorry, everyone. I'm sorry. Sorry is just not going to cut it. You need to explain yourself more. You had a daughter who needed a father, and you still married me and kept me in the dark. Yes, and what about Irina? You kept giving us false hope. I'm sorry, everyone. Dad, you were moving out and Kim was pregnant. I thought I would convince her to abort the baby, so I didn't tell you. She wanted to keep it. I loved Kim, but I was not ready to become a dad. Oh, you were all nice and giggly when I told you I was pregnant. Kim, you got bored after we had Irina. I'm sorry. One of us had to grow up and be responsible. Not everyone likes to be a broke, jobless man like you. I met Maeve online, and the idea of her sounded so nice, away from the responsibility of a kid. It started out very casually, really, but then when I met her, it seemed real, and I didn't want to let go of that. I married her. And you didn't even bother to tell me? I love both of you, and I didn't want to let any of you go. Oh, stop it. This is not love. I was confused, so I thought, why not just let things be the way they were? I can't believe you. You dragged me into all of this. Here I was, wanting to give you an innocent surprise for your birthday, and then I got to know that it's not like that. I like living in your house. This is some life I didn't want to give up on. What are you implying? You married Maeve for her house? What? You married me for money? Well, it's complicated. I loved you, but I also liked your lifestyle. That's what attracted me to you. It's as simple as that. You fell in love with the lifestyle, the money, and not me, Colton. How selfish. Enough, everyone. Colton, this is not the man I expected you to be. Your mom and I loved each other. You grew up in a loving house. And are these the values that you learned from us? Enough. You're on your own now. I have made my decision. Kim is going to be the owner of my house. She needs a place for herself and Irina. Dad, are you serious? I was supposed to take ownership of that house. Dead sure I am. You don't deserve it. Kim and Irina need it more than you do. Well, I don't need you guys either. I'm with Maeve now anyway. Do you think I'm a fool? Get out of my house too. We're getting a divorce. Babe, what? No, I made a mistake, but I chose you over Kim. I married you, not her. Colton, we're over. There is nothing you can say or do now. We are over too, and I'll make sure you never get to see Irina again. It's been a year since all that drama went down. A year of freedom from Colton's mess. Richard handed the house to Kim, and she is living there with little Irina. Colton? Well, he's got nothing but regrets and a big dose of karma. Colton thought he could play us all and have his cake and eat it too. So here's a piece of advice for y'all. When you're online dating and decide to meet in person, just remember, honesty is your best wingman. Trying to juggle two relationships is like playing a game of hide and seek. Eventually, someone's going to catch you and it won't end well. So save yourself the drama, be real, and don't bite off more than you can chew. Because in the end, being genuine is way cooler than trying to be a sneaky catfish.